welcome to the last session of Ignite. And thank you very much for working with me in the schedule change and allowing me to shift it to this Tuesday. I've got us budgeted from 9 to 11. We'll likely finish just a tad bit early so we can come in and let people prep for the team meeting. It's going to take place right afterward at 11 o'clock as well. So without any further ado, we're going to dive right into today's material. But before we jump into today's expectations, just curious, how is the daily 10-4 coming along? Any successes or wins or appointments or anything over the weekend or since our last session? Any good news?
I got an offer at my daughter's house.
Awesome.
It's not a great offer, but.
Okay, but it's an offer nonetheless. Yeah. Did you guys end up doing a price reduction?
No, we didn't.
Okay, and you still got an offer.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very
It's
good.
about 30,000 less than what they're asking.
Okay, 30 grand less. Are they asking for closing costs in addition
No,
to
they're
that?
not.
Okay, and so have you guys countered back yet?
No, Chelsea, they get back this evening, so
Okay.
I haven't given it to them.
An offer is good news,
That's
nonetheless.
right, that's what I figured.
Nonetheless. Brad got an offer on one he's had for a while that he's looking to hopefully bring to terms today, which would be awesome as well. It's kind of funny. Remember how I said after the Super Bowl, everything is, people are out and about and it's ready. They're ready to make things happen. Anybody else? That's great news.
I talked to a client that I've been working with since November,
Okay.
and they're just trying to figure out things on a build end yet, but their numbers
Okay.
are hopefully going to tighten up.
Sure.
And if that goes forward, it looks like we'll be listing their property after the 1st of April.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And
That'll fly
I
off the
sent
shelf.
out all those twins magnets,
Mhm.
and I cannot believe I've had phone calls, texts, emails, and in-person people all saying, you are on our fridge, thank you for thinking of us, and anybody that we know, we will recommend you.
That's awesome.
So I think those were a win,
Absolutely.
you know,
Well, if your face is on somebody's refrigerator,
that's what I'm thinking. My
That's not
husband has
bad.
been real good, he's taken them to work.
Yeah.
He is the president of Archery Club, and they had a rummage sale thing going on, you know, hunting stuff on Sunday morning, and he took, I couldn't believe it. He's usually not the type to, you know, promote anything
Right.
unless it's hunting.
Right.
And he actually took a stack and he had people asking for them.
Cool.
So, I mean, I just think if my feelings with those are, it's all about referral on
Yeah,
those. If
absolutely.
somebody's looking to sell, great, but it's all about referral.
I agree, and I'll be honest, I used to kind of poo-poo or downplay that kind of thing and think to myself, why would I do that? Until I thought more about or was educated a little bit more about just the branding and being top of mind.
Right.
And having, you know, being placed on somebody's refrigerator, just the fact that they see you that often, and you're, even when it's just subconsciously just a reminder of you that you're in real estate, that's kind of a big deal, and it doesn't cost much. We do something slightly different. It's not a twin schedule. It's one of those, you know, long rectangular notepads where you can tear one off, and that's what we use. And then on the very top, it's got our logo on it, our phone number, our website, and then, you know, area for them to take down notes and stuff. That way, too, when they're scrawling notes or writing stuff down and handing it off to people in the kitchen, that's just kind of, you know, finding its way to other places as well, hopefully. So whether it's magnets or something like that, or those small things can be huge.
I had a laugh because my husband took 25 of them to work. And then he said, oh, I got a few left over in the drawer. And then 3 days later, he said, hey, can I take another stack? Because
That's
I've got
awesome.
people actually asking for them now.
Sure.
And to me, you know, what they want is they want the twin schedule.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm on the top of it.
Yeah,
so I'm
absolutely.
like thinking, it, you know, and I said, well, no, and I told him the whole spiel.
How, did you tell them what to say?
Yeah.
What'd you coach me to say?
Well, I just told them, I said, you know, because they're, you know, they all, these are engineers and they all are buddies at work. And, you know, I just said, you have to say something to them about, well, here you go. And remember, if you know of anybody looking to buy or sell a house, and then point at me and say, there's who you call.
Absolutely.
And then I said, because it doesn't have to be a rehearsed thing.
Right.
But you have to say something. They don't get just to have the calendars, to have calendars. You gotta do your end on this a little bit. But he said, yeah.
That's good.
People had really good response to those. So I'm gonna do the Vikings in the
That's good.
like July, August, whenever those come
And
out.
good for you, you know, kind of coach them a little bit to say that your spouse or your family, your friends, they can get by a little bit more sometimes, or they can get away with a little bit more than we can, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not self-promoting, they're promoting somebody else, which can they can have some fun with it. The more people you can get to do that on your behalf, the stronger business you're going to have in terms of that referral sphere, so.
Well, that's why I
good
did
job.
sports, because I figured if I did something sports related, I could actually get my husband in on this one a little bit more.
Absolutely.
So,
That makes sense. Anybody else? Anything else for the order?
I met with a client last week that has
Very
a
good.
hobby farm in Byron.
Awesome.
So we're gonna get that listed in May
Holy smokes, good for you. And how'd you come across that client?
from an ad that I run.
Good for you. That's
Nice.
awesome. Nice job. Good work.
is that from your TV ad?
Yes,
Very good. Did you see,
Good for
did
you.
everybody see her? Her ad was very nice on KTT.
I heard, but I had that.
I haven't seen it.
Very professional, very nice.
Good for you, Debbie. That's awesome. Okay.
I do the 2 mornings when I had a day off. I run around a neighborhood that I'm quite familiar with,
Mhm.
and somebody, just as I was leaving, I asked, "Do you know anybody in this neighborhood that is thinking of buying or selling?" And she says, "Oh yeah, by the way, I think that house just down, it's kind of secluded. You can't see it from where I was standing.
Mhm.
It looks like an estate that sits back. Gorgeous, gorgeous home." And it says, "I think that house, they're thinking of selling. There's illness in the family." And I said, "Do you know how I can keep in contact with that
Mhm.
person?" And she let me in and opened the directory of the
Oh my gosh,
neighborhood.
good for you.
Yeah, and showed me the number. And he said, "She might not answer, but try her." And I called her, speak with her. I see if I had known her for years. She carried on the conversation with me, and I was just nervous because I've never done it before.
Sure.
I am like totally rookie, you know. My heart was pounding, and she. It turns out that this estate have been in that area for years and years, and I know the builder because the builder and I go to the same church. And so we start talking, and she said, "No, I'd rather sell it myself and see what happened."
This is the gal you emailed me about?
Yeah, and I'd rather see what happened. And I looked up the tax listing. It's about $1 million. And I'm thinking, why would you want to sell this gorgeous estate by yourself? Now, I just needed an experienced human being to talk to me, to tell me what to do. And I called Zach, obviously, and sort of coached me through this. And I went back online, find the property listing, find not the property listing, but find the tax, what the homestead tax, what on the property.
Mhm.
And I sent her, if you're trying to sell your house in Rochester, that transaction where you have to do a disclosure.
Yep. Mhm.
And so I sent a blank form, not the one with Keller Williams on it, with my card. And then I said, if she wants to us to meet with her or anything. And then I followed up with a phone call. And she carried on a long conversation with me, telling me the situation that is going on, that the house is actually empty now. They found another place because I was trying to inquire if she would like to, since there's an illness in the family, if she would like us to help her find.
Absolutely.
She says, no, we're doing well in that area. We just want to sell that house.
Sure.
And I mean, I am just like, what, it is such a stately home.
Yeah.
Absolutely will be perfect for another family. I've had 3 phone conversations with her, but she's still really at the end. She said, no, I think we can market
Well,
that.
first off, you're doing great. You're wearing her down. I guarantee you've worked in way more than any other agent has. If they choose to go with an agent, I would place all my chips on you at this point. Has she explained exactly why they want to sell it on their own? Obviously, she says, oh, we prefer to sell it on our own. But has she said why? Has she specifically said to save on commission, or she hasn't given you the actual why behind it yet?
I have not used. I went back, tried to read up and see which angle I can come. The fact that she keep answering the phone and keep talking to me, I have not gotten the why.
Yeah.
She wants to sell because her husband has suffered a massive stroke. However, she wants to do this on her own.
Sure.
And I still have not looked to see what was her experience that she wants to sell.
Sure.
And I agree with her. It's a lot of memories in that.
Absolutely.
They've lived there for 35 years.
Sure. It's not on the market yet? Okay. So one thing, I might try this tactic the next time I talk to her. What's her first name?
Sharon.
Sharon. I might say, hey Sharon, this is Becca just calling in to check in with you again. Hope things are going well. I'm not trying to pressure you by any means, but I noticed your home's not yet listed for sale. Now, I can imagine you've probably got 1,000 things going on with your current situation, and one of the last things you have time for is trying to get your home put on the market, listed for sale. I know that can be pretty stressful. Here's what I want you to know. I know in the past that you've talked about listing it yourself or trying to get it sold yourself. But if at any point in time you ever just hit a point where you feel overwhelmed, or you just have too much going on, or you've got a whole lot of stress, and you'd like somebody to really just take the lead and get the home listed for sale for you, kind of just take that stress off your plate, I'd be happy to do that for you. A property such as yours, which is absolutely gorgeous, and with all the memories that you have there, when it gets listed for sale, I would love to see that property marketed the way that it should be, to truly show off how magnificent of a home that it is. And I'd love to do that for you if you think it would be helpful at any point in time. Oh, by the way, I can start kind of marketing it to other people right now that might have interested buyers, so that you can get the home sold sooner rather than later, and not have this other thing really just kind of weigh you down, or another thing that you have to deal with in the midst of everything else you're doing. Kind of see how she responds to that. It might be another no, but at least you have made the hard offer. And if she gets to that point where it is becoming a little overwhelming, she's going to remember that you had that conversation with her and give you a call. Because with for sale by owners, that's usually what does it for them. Even when the cost savings is why they want to do it themselves, when they don't really see any results, or they get to the point where it's just becoming so much of a chore or a hassle, that's when they look to usually bring in an agent at some point. So my gut is, or what I would think is, she's probably already starting to feel a little bit of that. Otherwise, it'd be on the market already, right? The home's empty. They're moved out of it. The only reason it's not on the market yet is because she hasn't had the time, or she doesn't know what to do. But that's where you come in. That's where you can solve that problem for her. So I would maybe try that tactic or that approach with her and see how it goes. Because that would just be me kind of guessing as to what's going on, and just kind of calling it what it is. Hey, I know you got 1,000 things going on. Obviously, with your situation, there's so many things that require your focus right now. The house might be taking a back seat. What I'd love to do is help you get the most for the home that you can by marketing it properly, getting it maximum exposure, and hopefully alleviate some stress for you. Just take it off your plate completely. And then you could always ask the question, do you think that would be helpful for you?
Yeah.
See what she says. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, that's really where you're coming from, is a place of, hey, just go deal with that. Let me take care of selling your home for you. Don't even think twice about it. Just know it's in good hands. I'm going to get you the most I possibly can. It'll be marketed well. Focus on your husband and your personal life. And good for you doing that. I cannot believe. I just want to give you a high five for the fact that you got the neighbor to let you in, to give you the actual phone number to call the person. That's amazing. A lot of people would not go so far as to say, how can you put me in touch? And I like the way that you asked that question. You didn't say, oh, could you give me their number? You said, oh, do you know of a way I could reach out to them, or a way I could get in touch with them? That was very good. So keep that up.
Awesome. Scary though.
Yeah, I know. Well, and if we need to afterward, we can visit a little bit more on how you can approach them, or what other things you can do to try to demonstrate value to get your foot in the door on that one. Yeah, absolutely. Nice work. Okay, page 5, today's expectations. Check in on what you've accomplished. We've kind of already done that a little bit. We've been doing that along the way each morning. Evaluate wins and opportunities and make adjustments. Develop a habit of tracking your numbers and taking action to continually improve your conversion rates. And commit to a plan for maintaining the powerful habits you've developed in Ignite to reach and exceed your business goals. So if we move to page 9, get your head in the game. Second paragraph. You have learned that mindset, attitude, and your approach to life and your business matter. Adopting a mindset and a philosophy of contributing to the lives of other people, and a deeply rooted belief in doing the best job possible for each and every customer, will enable you to grow your business. And I would refocus back on that second sentence. Adopting a mindset and a philosophy of contributing to the lives of other people. That's exactly what Becca just described. right? How can I contribute to this woman and what she's going through in her life right now? I can swoop in there and help out dramatically, and just take a huge thing off her plate while she deals with stuff that she needs to focus on, right? John Davis's quote at the bottom there is a great one. There's no real secret to real estate success. You follow the best models, you implement the best systems, and you commit to the best training. Ignite is your first step on the path to mastery. I highlight that first portion. There's no real secret to real estate success. There's no secret. There really isn't. Especially in today's day and age, you can hop on YouTube or the internet or anywhere and find all kinds of educational training videos and tips and hints on how to go out there and knock it out, right? It gets back to the bull law that success is simple, not easy. Success is simple, not easy. Later today in the ALC meeting, we're gonna talk a little bit about John D. Rockefeller and some of the things or habits or traits that he has that led to his success. And what you'd find is, going back to John's quote, it was really no secret. He was just extremely determined. He was committed, and he just worked. At the end of the day, that's what it was. He had a tireless work ethic. He was extremely focused on what it is he wanted to accomplish. And more importantly, he made zero excuses. Made zero excuses, and he went out and made it happen. It's the same with real estate. Right? Page 13. Anyone can succeed, but not everybody will. Why? The ones who do succeed have focus, the ability to concentrate their thoughts and actions on the most important tasks. So here's a question for the group. How do you create a personal plan and make process your focus? How do you create a personal plan and make process your focus? It can be a confusing question a little bit when I say how do you make process your focus. Let me ask you this way. How do you make developing your system or your process for achieving your results or achieving your success your focus?
Well, in December, I have actually a calendar for weekly and monthly. And so what I did is I set up a plan for not only the end of 2018 big goal, but the daily, weekly, monthly.
You broke it down.
I broke it all the
Very
way
good.
down because it was too big to bite off to just look at where you're going to be at the end of 2018. So I have my daily plans, which every week, you might have a plan and it might have to get juggled around and changed a little bit because a good class comes up or something like that. But I have, my time blocking plan of everything I'm going to do, whether it's going to be, right now everything's kind of all together. I've got that, I'm working on a database as I'm working on my lead generation because there's so much right now when you're new. I figure if I really eat the frog first and put all of that in at the beginning, that in a few months, keeping up with the database should start getting a little easier.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
But I have to have, I'm in fact, our minister just said to me Saturday night when we had a Valentine's supper, he goes, "You are a list maker, aren't you?" I said, "I have a list in paper. I have it in my phone."
Yeah.
I have everything. I mean, in my phone, it has to come up and say, from this time to this time, you're doing this.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm a very list oriented person because if I don't have it written down and something to check off, I feel that it doesn't hold me accountable. I need something that holds me accountable.
Sure. Yeah, I have the same issue, only sometimes mine is I'll forget. I've got so many things I have to write.
That too.
What I used to do quite a bit, especially when I was in college, is every day I would keep my list of items. I would make a checkbox, check off or scratch off, and then I would rewrite it. I would rewrite everything. So I would rewrite my new list. Okay, what things are carrying over? What am I adding? To clean it up and to add notes. And every day it would just be, or maybe even a couple of times a day, I would go through it and just rewrite the list. And rewriting it, what did that also help solidify for me? If I had to continually rewrite it, It
Well,
was,
if you
it
don't
was
want to have to
constant,
rewrite it,
constant.
you do it.
Yeah, it was a constant reminder.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm rewriting this one, and I would say, oh my gosh, I've rewritten this one like a few times. I need to just get it done, right? So that would be helpful. And it was a degree of accountability for me, like you said, to just not let me have stuff fall off the radar, because if I had to keep rewriting it, it was always there until I got it done, right? Problem is, if you ever lose that list.
That's
So,
why you put it in your phone too.
absolutely, absolutely. What else? What else can we do to stay focused on our goal? What do you do right now to help you stay focused?
Educate, refresh.
Okay, very good. Come to classes like this, right? This is Ignite is a way to re-engage and re-energize your focus, right? Absolutely. Other things? Let's ask this question. Susan, you kind of already answered this one. So if anybody else has something additional they'd like to add, how do you time block to get your focus? Susan, you said you break it down. You kind of got things even like almost daily. So how do you time block your focus?
You mark it on your calendar.
Yeah. What does that look like for you?
It says time block,
Mhm.
however many hours you wanna.
Do you do that, Debbie?
I do it, I don't always use it, but I do sometimes.
You intend to use it every day. It doesn't always happen. Let's be honest. You've got life, right? When do you guys find that you are setting aside that time for focus on your business? When are you time blocking? There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just curious. The night before. Okay, so the night before, you're looking at your next day, kind of blocking some stuff out. Yeah, absolutely. And do some of you have a certain portion of every day? It's the same portion of every day time block, or does it vary a little bit depending upon your day? What does it look like for you?
I prefer to do mornings,
Mm-hmm.
but
Why is that?
why?
Yeah.
Because I think if I personally, again, it's holding me accountable. I'm one of these people, if I'm officing from home, because I like to cook, bake, craft, and do all these other things, I have to focus on what's really important, which is this business first.
Yeah.
So if I can take care of that, maybe an appointment will come up in the afternoon. But if it doesn't, then I have the afternoon to do other things.
Absolutely.
But sometimes, like today, it'll have to be the afternoon.
Yeah.
Because I'm here this morning and I still know I have.
Because that darn Zach scheduled a class.
But that's okay, because on these days, I actually go home with more ideas and might have a little more boost of energy
Good.
to do that in the afternoon.
Good.
But typically, if I know I'm home all day in a work atmosphere, I have to do it.
Sure.
Like from maybe, I always say I'm gonna do it from 9 to 12, but sometimes it starts at 8 because
Sure.
I'm just ready to go.
I wish I had that problem. So for you, it's in the morning. Anybody else?
For me, it's in the morning too. I'm a real
The morning?
morning person. Yeah,
Okay.
I wake up ready to go and.
Do you? What does that look like for you in the morning? What's an ideal morning?
You know,
'Cause
maybe.
my mornings are always a roll of the dice right now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Just 4:30 or 5, get up, make my bed.
Oh my
God
God, I'm not
bless
that
you.
much of a morning person.
And she said, make her bed. This is a no judgment. This is a no judgment atmosphere. We're all admiring right now.
And then I just plug right in, exercise, mindset videos, running that one that Aaron posted, Samuda's.
Oh, okay.
That was really good. And then throughout the day, I'm always, if I'm at my store, I'm always plugged in doing things. So
Good. Some of you might not know this, but Cindy runs another business, right? What kind of business is it?
it's called Refashion. It's out of town consignment stores.
So for you, it's in the morning and now when you have so do all your mornings go that way?
Pretty much so.
Okay. But every once in a while there might be a curveball.
Maybe once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you have those curveballs, what does that do to you?
I just kind of rework the rest of the day, the afternoon. It bothers me if I get off schedule.
Throw you off a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I prefer to be in here, because if I'm in here, then I'm not doing laundry or dishes or this or that. I'm just really focused. So
Absolutely.
That's,
Very good. So I would say one answer to our question when it says, how do we make our personal plan and process your focus? A large part of that is your environment. Right? What environment are you putting yourself in to help you maintain your focus? And you'll hear Gary Keller and everybody always talk about how when you're time blocking, first and foremost, I'll ask the question when, right? When? Well, my answer to that would be whenever it works for you. So we've all got different things going on in our life, right? So time block when it works for you. Best case scenario, you're able to do it in the morning. And why is the morning a good time to time block and knock out the biggest things that you need to? Why the morning?
Because you're fresh.
Fresh, energy is high, a little bit more focus. Usually the chaos of the day has not yet quite set in. And to Susan's point, if you hit a home run in the morning, great, you've got your afternoon or wherever to go ahead and take action or schedule an appointment or do what it is you need to. Honestly, in our line of work, especially if you're looking purely at lead generation, you can be done doing what you need to do by noon, easily. Matter of fact, it can be done by 11, right? And of all the activities that we do, which there are a ton, the lead generation is the most important one. So if you time block in your morning, always look like from 9 to 11, 9 to noon, 8 to 11, whatever. If you spent that day, that time every day, Monday through Friday, doing lead generation activities, your business would take care of itself, right? And so think, how can you build that into your schedule, or how can you safeguard that? Or maybe you've got a schedule that varies a little bit. So, Mondays, it's this time to this time. Tuesdays, it's a little bit different. Wednesdays, but just make sure that you're building it in there, right? Or Brad, when you're looking at your schedule for the next day, because you've got a lot of things going on, okay, where am I plugging in that lead generation time, right? To make sure that you knock it out. Or if today's wiped out for whatever reason, I've got a family thing going on, okay, where can I double up on that? Do I need to push some of it to a Saturday? Right? Try not to give up on it. How do you use accountability to keep your focus? How do you use? I've done one very, very tiny minor thing that hasn't even really been, accountability per se. But what small thing have I done during Ignite that is a small form of accountability?
When you ask us what's going on.
Yeah, every morning we've started, what question have I asked you? Yeah, how's the daily? I've even asked it a little bit nicer than that. I haven't even said, have you done it? I just said, how's it been going? Right? And every time I ask that question, what goes on in your head?
Oh no, have I?
Yeah, right. Sometimes it's like, oh crap, is he going to look at me? Is he going to ask me? Oh my God, what am I going to say? That's a small degree of accountability, right? Or, if we're sharing or we're having conversations in the class and I know that you've got a deal going on, I'll ask you, how's that deal going? Or, hey, how'd that appointment go? Right? Because, we want you to keep following through on it. We want to see you succeed. And sometimes what we don't do as a group is we don't celebrate the successes that you have, right? We talk about scheduling appointments, we talk about the scripts and stuff. Well, if you use it and you go on an appointment, awesome, we want to hear about it. How did you do it? How did you make it work? What happened next? So ask yourself that question moving forward. How's my daily 10-4 go? What's my pipe? Here's a question you should always be asking yourself. What's my pipeline look like? What's up, buddy? What's my pipeline look like? Am I happy with where my pipeline is? If I'm not, what can I do to bolster the pipeline and get some more people in it? Do I have some low-hanging fruit out there, some people out there that I've been in conversation with that I maybe need to get more focused on? Get them in for a consultation to sign them so that I beef up my pipeline. If my pipeline is very beefy, but I'm not, converting them over to pendings, what do I need to do, or who are the 2 to 3 I need to focus on and double my efforts on to get them pended on a property rather than just constantly, taking them out on showings. So that's a way that you can help do that as well. You cannot underestimate the word accountability. My personality is to be naturally adverse to accountability. That's the style that I have. Some people, they're all about it. Some people, if we, like, Becca, you strike me as somebody like accountability, you don't have a problem. Like, I think some people, accountability feeds and motivates them, right? She's like, great, that's what I have to do. Awesome, I'll just make that my focus. Whereas me, I'm a little bit more of a free spirit, okay? I like to be able to just do whatever, and optimistically things will work out. Well, that's not the case a lot of the time, right? So for me, I've had to build in or be very conscientious of the fact that accountability is a helpful tool. If I'm not naturally going to do it, I have to find a way for somebody else to make sure that I'm doing it, right? Thankfully, my wife is a different personality style than me, so she helps with that a little bit. But one of the things we did a few years ago is we hired a coach. And that coach brought accountability to our business. And that accountability doubled that business because we were tracking numbers every single day that we hadn't really ever tracked. Next question on page 14. How do you make sure your environment supports your focus? Now, we touched on that a little bit, but I want to hear a little bit more detail. We can look at this question two ways. What are some things that make your environment kind of poor or a distraction? And what are things that have the opposite effect on when it comes to your environment?
How quiet it is.
Okay, peace and quiet.
You can close up a door if the noise is being made. If you can shut a door and be in a quiet zone, you do a lot better.
Absolutely. Put up a little sign, especially if in the office, that says, hey, don't bug me, right? Or if you walk around, you see signs that say, hey, lead generation from blah, 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 right? Hopefully they're actually lead generating. But put up a sign, right? Or become a master of the quick, oh, hey, how are you? It's so good to see you. Yeah, hey, I got to finish this up real quick, but when I'm done, can I come find you and we'll catch up, right? That's protecting your time block, right? Hey, I'm time blocking from 9 to 11. I know we have a lot to catch up on, but can I come find you right after 11? Because I've got to knock out that time block. I've got to knock out that lead gen during the time block. So good things for an environment would be, it's quiet, not really being disturbed. That would be building your bunker, as they say. What else? Good or bad? Environment's crucial. Think of yourself for a minute and think of, okay, times in which you've been super productive or you've been in a great environment. What did that look like? Or what made that environment great? No right or wrong answers.
Just a real quiet area.
So something free of distraction. It's not always the case of a real estate office.
Or the time of day.
Time of day, okay.
Would determine that.
Yeah, I'm kind of a night guy. Some of my best work is done late into the night. That's just how it is. What else? So speaking of quiet and free of distraction, is that always what it's like at home?
No.
What else?
Comfort.
Okay, good, comfort. Any elaboration on that or no?
Temperature, light preferences, sitting, standing, comfortable chair.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else?
Having a clean desk.
Yeah.
Clean,
Initially,
organized. Yeah. What else? What about a positive environment? What about being surrounded by like-minded people who are also focused, goal-oriented, positive, and supportive? I think those are the things that we oftentimes take for granted in an environment that are, I think, honestly, those things are more important than we will ever actually truly ever appreciate or realize. Because it's hard to measure the fact that when I came into the office today, I ran into 3 or 4 people that were like, hey, how are you? How's it going? Blah, 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 blah. Hey, nice job on that listing you took. That's huge. Keep it up. We're so happy for you. Keep it going. Right? Or, hey, how many pieces of business? What's your goal for this year? Awesome. Hey, I think you can do more. I think you can ratchet it up. Right? There's no substitution for an environment like that, because what's the opposite of that?
Negativity, you can't do it. Drunk monkey back.
The drum.
Yeah.
Hate that monkey.
Yeah, your environment and the people that you allow, remember, notice how I said that, the people that you allow into your environment, they're going to do one of two things for you. They're either going to lift you up and bolster you, or they're going to drag you down. Sometimes not even purposely. Sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it, right? You're either going to go up or down, depending upon what environment you're allowing yourself to be surrounded by. So don't take that for granted. And I'm naturally a pretty optimistic guy, and I had never really critically thought about stuff like this. But once somebody, through training, took me through the process of really focusing on your environment, focusing on positivity and negativity. Now, before, I probably never realized it, but now I identify it like this. As soon as somebody's being negative or pessimistic or just dragging me down, like before, I probably would never notice it. I'd be like, oh yeah, like, that really does suck, or you start feeding into it. But now I identify it immediately, and it just bugs the crap out of me. It's like, I can't be here anymore, right? Or I will say something to them. I'll say, hey, if you are really being a Debbie Downer, drag me down, you need to go fix yourself, right? Do we need to go have a happy hour and get you back on track or what? But think about that. That's a form of accountability, right? Because do we all have bad days? Absolutely, we've all got bad days, or we all get, feel like we get kicked over down sometimes, or we just talk to a client or a potential client who's extremely rude, and I come in and I say, gosh, Debbie, I don't even know why I call for sale by owners. They are the worst people on earth. Why would I ever work with them? They're so terrible. I just hate them. Right? Then Debbie's gonna say, Zach, I hear you. I know where you're coming from, but wasn't it just last week you told me you scored an appointment with a for sale by owner that you're looking to list next month? Okay, I see what you did there, Debbie. We have to help each other with that sometimes, right? Don't just let each other be Debbie Downers all the time, or have what we call a 5-second pity party, right? For 5 seconds, you can take pity on yourself and be a little negative, but then you're done. It's over. Move on, right? So hold yourself accountable and hold others accountable, because if you're the Debbie Downer, you're affecting other people. You don't even realize it sometimes, right? Okay, that's enough on that one. How do you keep your energy to maintain your focus? How do you keep up that energy? We know how Cindy does it. Apparently she doesn't sleep at all. Just kidding. But no, let's talk about that. So what time would you say you're usually in bed by?
I don't even want to say.
That's okay. No judgment.
Sometimes 7:30.
That's awesome.
Well, you'd have to be if you get up at 4:30.
Right, sleep right, yeah. So she's in bed at a good time.
Yeah, I'm really tired at night, and I don't know, I just like to go to bed. In the winter now, when the weather changes, things are gonna change.
Yeah,
sure. When it's brighter for a little bit longer.
Right,
and all that stuff. But regardless of what time you go to bed and get up, really what you're doing is how many hours of sleep would you say you get on average per night?
At least 8.
At least 8, right? And what does that do for your energy levels?
I'm never tired throughout the day.
Absolutely. So I know I can work Cindy harder during the day. We're gonna double our efforts. No, just kidding. But that getting a great amount of sleep is the single greatest thing when it comes to your energy level, right? So that would be one thing, and through time blocking and maintaining your schedule, that can certainly help. Now, obviously, I know that's not always doable, or different stages in life. It's maybe a little bit easier to do than others. Speaking from experience on that one right now, but getting your appropriate amount of sleep will help energy. What else? Exercise, absolutely. That's probably the second greatest thing. Maintaining or getting great sleep, and then exercising. And the third thing, which is the one I struggle with, is what? Eating. Your diet. Yeah, your diet, absolutely. If you can get an appropriate amount of sleep, exercise occasionally, and eat relatively well, your energy levels will be through the roof. What else keeps up your energy? Energy or positivity. Would you say that sometimes you feel more energized when you're productive? I know I do. If I come in and I have a great morning and it was an extremely productive morning, I feel energized about that, right? By the end of today, I will probably be exhausted, but I'm going to feel pretty energized. So I'm going to go from teaching Ignite to teaching a team meeting to doing an ALC meeting. And that's what I love. I love being in the room with folks like you, talking business, getting some energy going, and getting out there and making it happen, right? But at the same time, at the end of the day, that kind of drains me a little bit. So being productive, moving forward, accomplishing the things that you've set out to do, hitting your time blocks, making progress toward your goals, all those things build on your energy, right? And that's the kind of energy that accumulates. We're not talking about just your physical energy when you wake up every day. I'm talking about if you're building momentum in your business and hitting your goals and making progress, you're going to wake up with more and more energy to get out there and make it happen daily when it comes to your business, because you're building that momentum, right? It can also work the opposite way. Maintaining energy and focus. Implement the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Energy Plan. Block time before 11 a.m. each day to pull in energy from the following 5 key areas. This creates momentum that will carry you throughout the entire day. There's a list of the different types of energy. The other reason why they say that your lead generation or the most important crucial things you do each day should be done in the morning is because why? Your energy. That's when you have the most energy. This is what we already talked about, right? So you need to tackle those things when your energy is at its highest, so that as you get throughout the rest of the day, it starts to taper off or dwindle a little bit. You've already got done the things you really needed to. So if you start to slip a little bit toward the end of the day in terms of your energy level, and if it affects your productivity, it's not impacting the things that were absolutely critical for the day, right? There's been plenty of times where I've taken a consultation or gone on showings in the evening, and I can just tell the energy is just crap, right? There's sometimes where I'm about to go into a buyer consultation at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. because that's the only time it could work schedule-wise. You know, before I go in, I have to kind of just do a little, okay, you know, put on your happy face, you know, get that motivation up a little bit, and then just walk in, right? Slam a 5-hour energy. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But you know, just quickly, you know, mentally, because here's the thing. Often we go throughout life. Most people go throughout life and they don't even realize these things because they've never been taught, never been encouraged to do some self-reflection, right? But when you're aware of it, it's a piece of education that makes you more powerful in what you're doing daily. If I know, if I'm conscientious of the fact that, hey, I'm getting ready to go into a meeting, if I go in and I crush this consultation, I'm going to secure a piece of business that's going to generate $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 of income for me. Do you think I'm going to approach it a little bit differently? Yeah, I'm going to say, okay, Zach, take the 30 seconds you need to re-energize, reorient yourself, and go in there so you can hit a grand slam. Right? You don't just want to haphazardly wander into this consultation, give it a 50-50 chance of working with this person or not, right? Do yourself the favor of bringing your A game every single time to the appointments that you're going on, right? Or if you need to, man, I've got this consultation at 7 p.m. What I've done in the past is I've just stayed at the office all the way till 7 to do it. Well, that might not be the best thing. Maybe you need to wind down around 4 o'clock, go home, hang out, recharge, re-energize, and then swing back into the office so you're coming with a different attitude, right? For me, that would probably make my attitude even worse. Now I gotta leave home and go meet with this guy. No, I'm just kidding. But do what you need to. Be conscientious of that kind of thing and monitor your energy level and your positivity. Okay, page 15, accountability. Accountability, accountability, accountability. The 2 words that I would live and die by in this business are accountability and discipline. Those are the 2. And unfortunately, both of those words, for whatever reason, if we were just talking to the general public and I said accountability and discipline, do you think they would have a positive or a negative connotation of both those words?
Could be, yeah, it depends on the person, but
in general, I'd say negative.
negative.
Right? When you hear the word discipline, what do you normally first think of?
Ouch.
Yes, getting a whooping. Right? You think of someone as disciplining you, or somebody's being disciplined, right? In a negative way. But in reality, it's a very positive thing. Having discipline is a very powerful thing. It's very positive. If you're disciplined in what you're doing every single day, it can lead to pretty phenomenal results, right? So discipline in combination with accountability is huge. Discipline really equals your habits, right? So if you're disciplined and you have good habits, then you're holding yourself accountable to doing those habits daily, you'll be in good shape. The 6 personal perspectives which we covered in our first session, we learned accountability is a tool for continually changing the results in our life in the areas that matter most, the 20%. Goal achievement is a direct result of accountability and being disciplined enough to have the habits that you need to hit those goals. We're going to talk a little bit about what the 411 is. So at Keller Williams, we use something called the 411 for goal setting. So I'm briefly going to talk about what that is and how that works so that you guys can utilize it if you choose to. Getting around page 15. 411 stands for 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year. At Keller Williams, we use the 411 as a productivity tool to reflect top priorities, the big rocks, so to speak. The 411 allows you to define your weekly, monthly, and annual goals because your daily activities manifest into your overall results. The goals you set are an effective and crucial accountability function for your business. So let's take a pause there really fast and let's just talk in general terms for a second. When most people set their goals for a year, what do they then do with those goals?
Yeah. You want the honest answer?
Yes, I'm looking for the, yeah, okay, I heard somebody say, do you want the honest answer? And I heard somebody say nothing. So is there any more to, do you want the honest answer?
Well, the honest answer is, I think that if they don't understand that you have to do this on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, they set that goal for the year.
Yeah.
And by October, November, they're going, oh my gosh, I'm not anywhere near my goal.
By
Because they didn't
October,
really-
November, they can't even remember what the goal was.
Right, because they haven't been able to, you have to start right at the beginning to achieve the goal at the end.
So let's talk about that for a minute. So first and foremost, most people don't set goals. Most people don't set goals. Or they don't set real goals. Like if your goal is to get in shape, is that a goal? Yeah.
No.
But is it a real goal?
No.
Absolutely not. My goal is to get in shape. Awesome. Which shape would that be? You know what I mean? But what does that really mean? What is it? That's not a goal. Your goal is not to get in shape. Your goal is not to eat better. If you're serious about it, you're going to put some measurable things in place or some timelines or something. My goal is to get in shape. Okay, what does that mean? That means every day at 8 a.m. I'm going to be in the gym. And each month throughout 2018, I want to lose 2 to 3 pounds. Or maybe this, that, or the other, right? What is your goal? What is your goal? Like, you don't, if you're telling me you've got goals and you say, oh yeah, my goal is to lose weight or to eat better or to do, to have a better year this year in terms of my business, but those aren't goals. Those are more like, well,
Wishes.
Yeah, that's
wishes.
just, yeah, that's a hope. I'm hoping that happens, right? So number one, most people don't make goals. Number two, if they do make a goal, like Ethan said, they don't do anything with it. They never revisit it, right? Oh yeah, okay. So my goal is to I want to this year 2018. My goal, I want to save $20,000. Great. How?
I hope by 2019 is $20,000.
Right. I'm going to start selling drugs on the side. No, just kidding. It's how are you going to do it? Right? When? Where's that money going to come from? Right? It involves a few more questions. So most people, they'll make a comment like that, or they'll say that that's their goal, but then they'll never revisit. Or what they're really not doing is they're not holding themselves accountable to their own goals. Right? Is it easy to come up with a goal?
Sure.
Yeah. Is it easy or hard to hold yourself accountable to those goals sometimes?
It can be hard to hold.
Yeah, depends on the person, but oftentimes, let's be honest, if it was easy, most people would be hitting their goals, right? It can be hard sometimes to hold yourself accountable to hitting the goals that you want to hit. So you either need to develop the discipline or habits that allow you to hit your goals or find somebody that will, right? So when we talk about those goals, one of the reasons that we have the 411 is so that number one, you create a goal, and number two, that you revisit it often. Because a goal that's never revisited was simply just a hope or a wish, like we said before. But when you constantly we have to create a plan that breaks down how you will achieve that goal, and you constantly revisit that plan, it keeps it top of mind. Believe it or not, if you kept your goals top of mind, the likelihood of you actually hitting them would go through the roof. Because by keeping them top of mind, they're constantly something that you're focused on, right? And what you focus on expands, as the Mold Law would say. Annual goals. You should set aside 1 to 3 days each year to think about and crystallize your one-year goals. Get clear on your big rocks, those 5 to 7 key goals that you must achieve in order to feel that you've had a successful year. You should set aside 1 to 3 days each year to think about and crystallize your one-year goals. Does this have to be something you do alone? No. Quite oftentimes you're going to want your significant other to be a part of it, right? Or if you have kids, this is a conversation you're having with your kids. Hey, what are your goals for the next year? So that you know what it is that's important and what they're working towards, so you can help them and they can help you, right? Or some peers in business or friends, you can do this together. Get clear on your big rocks, those 5 to 7 goals that you must achieve in order to feel that you've had a successful year. Annual goals should reflect each of the key areas of your life. There can be many categories, but we have found the following 4 areas to be the most useful. Job, what will you do? Business, what will your business or team do? Personal, what do you desire to have happen personally? Health, family, spiritual, education, etc. Personal finance, what improvements do you desire in your net worth? Reduced liabilities, increased investments, increased assets, etc. I love what it asks about that question. Personal finances. It specifically uses the words net worth or wealth. Right? What goals or what changes do you want to see when it comes to your net worth or your overall wealth? Not just asking you, hey, you know, how much money do you want to save this year? How much money do you want to make this year? No, what do you want to have happen to your net worth?
Want it to increase.
Yeah, absolutely. Most people, right? Some people maybe don't, depending on your taxes. I don't know. But really, it's just forcing you to think about, and because when I say, how do you want to impact your net worth? That's a question that encompasses a lot, right? It's not just saying, oh, how much money do you want to save this year? No, what do you want to do to your net worth? That affects your assets, liabilities, money coming in, money going out. How do we want to impact that for the year? Me personally, toward the end of each year, it's usually around Thanksgiving or Christmas when we've got some additional time off. That's when I start thinking about some of the goals I want to hit for that next year, right? I typically think about it throughout the entire year, but I try to get a little bit more focused on it toward the end of the year and kind of come up with like, what are probably my 3 or 4 non-negotiables for the next year? And it's funny the way this question is phrased. 5 to 7 key goals that you must achieve in order to feel that you've had a successful year. Right now, I look at years this way. 2017, that was the year of this, and this. Right, that's what made it feel accomplished, a successful year for me. 2016 was the year of this, and this. 2015 was the year of this, and this. 2018 will be the year of this, and this. Right, knowing that if I knock those things off, that year was a categorical success for me. And I'm moving into 19 with some momentum, right? Or 18 is laying the foundation. When I hit these things in 18, it lays the foundation for the stuff I want to hit in 19, right? I'm constantly trying to line things up or get them in a position to where they're building off of each other. Or I know if I want to do this by 2020, what do I need to do in 18 and 19 to line that up so that in 2020 that is something that I can do, right? You know, you can plan a lot of it. Sometimes, you know, stuff comes up out of the it's unplanned, and you have to figure out how can I make this work. But by coming up with your timeline and knowing where you want to go is crucial. Because if you don't know where you want to go, you're never going to know how you're going to get there, right? So do the hard thing and think about where it is that you want to go in 3 or 5 years, and then backward plan from there. Okay, if I want to hit this by 2020, what do I need to hit in this year, and this year, right? The Army has actually done a really good job of forcing us to do this recently. We never really used to do this, but they made me map out the rest of my career. Like if I did a full 20 years in the Army, they've already had me map it out. Okay, during what years are you going to be doing this? During what years are you going to be doing this? During what years are you going to be doing this? How many kids will you have? How old will they be? Where will they be in their education at that timeline? What education do you need to accomplish in the military to align with this? So that I can look at, okay, the next 10 or 15 years and project out what I need to be doing to be in line with that timeline, right? You know, it's pretty powerful when you think about it. And then it helps me on a personal level plan things too. Page 16, monthly goals. You should set aside 1 to 3 hours each month to rethink and further refine your monthly goals. Why might you have to rethink or refine monthly goals? Why might you have to rethink or refine monthly goals?
Because you've hit them already?
Yeah, or the opposite.
Or you haven't hit
Or the
them.
opposite, right? If we set a goal for the year and the actions that we're taking and the results that we're seeing, if we future forecast or project that forward and it doesn't have us hitting our goal, what does that tell us we need to do? Yeah, either A, we change the goal, there's nothing wrong with that, or B, we change the activities that we're doing, right? If I'm not in line with my goal, I can rethink things. I can catch it sooner rather than later, double my efforts, try things a little bit differently to realign with my goal. Or maybe I realize, okay, hey, maybe some things have changed, or maybe I'm going to scale back that goal a little bit. That's something that we never used to be talked about. Never. People would always, never, number one, they would struggle with setting realistic goals. They'd always set goals that were what?
Too high.
Sky high, like unattainable goals. Right, and then that created a culture of what? It's okay to set a goal and not hit it, which is the wrong answer, in my humble opinion. They would set goals that were just sky high, or if somebody was, if we had set a goal and we're halfway through the year and it's clear we're not going to hit that goal, it was never okay to adjust that goal down or to alter it or fix it. Right? Is that an okay thing? Let me ask you this: can it be an okay thing?
Yes.
It can be. Absolutely, absolutely, it can. Let me use an example. So let's say we have an agent who just closed 30 deals in 2017, and in 2018 they've made their goal to close, let's say it's 60. So they said, hey, I want to double my business this next year, and I want to hit 60. Well, let's say that we get into, let's say we're into September, right? So September means we pretty much know what we've done for the year so far, and when we're in September, we can kind of actually project where we're probably going to be close to ending the year, right? So let's say by September they're like, okay, well here's the deal. I want to hit 60 right now. I've got 45 deals closed, and I've probably got let's say I've got 40 closed, and I've got another 5 in the pipeline, right? So they could look at their business at that point in time and say, okay, what can I do to get to 60, right? Which is what I would encourage them to do. But let's say something else happens. Come September, they also find out, let's say they've got a parent who's diagnosed with cancer. And they say, hey, you know what? I'm going to spend some time with that parent. So 60 was a great goal. I'm in line with that, but I'm going to be okay. I'm going to adjust my goal to 50 for the year. I'm going to make that my focus, and I'm going to take some time to go do what I need to do in my personal life. Right? It's okay to adjust goals, because at the end of the day, if they hit 50 in 2018, what do they do compared to 2017? They increased. And do you think 60 or going past 60 will be attainable that next year? Absolutely. This is the story of my life has been, for whether it's good or bad, is I've always set a goal. I have failed to hit the goal every year when it comes to transactions. But at the same time, what have I done every year? I've increased. So is that a failure?
No.
It's a horrible failure. No, I'm just kidding. It's a win in many respects, right? Because it's stretching. We're stretching, trying to stretch the way that you think, stretch your goals, because I know if we keep stretching you, you're going to start doing things that you never thought were feasible back here, right? And if you don't hit it, it's not the end of the world. I always tell people at Keller Williams, we're so hard on ourselves because we're so goal oriented. We talk about our goals and diving into it and being productive, that we're one of the few places where you can have massive success and sometimes still feel like a failure because of the environment and the culture that you're in, right? In some places, if you went someplace and you closed a handful of deals for the year, like, man, you are a rock star. At our company, like, hey, man, that's awesome. Good for you. That's great. What can we do to help you double that next year? Right? We want to celebrate the success and help you build upon it. We want to help you improve, right? Yeah. Anyway, that's all I'll say about that. Monthly goals. Set aside 1 to 3 hours each month to rethink and further refine your monthly goals. Focus on your methods of achievement. Focus on your methods of achievement. That's a fancy way of saying, what are your habits? What habits are you doing daily to achieve your goals? How will you position yourself in pursuit of your annual goals? Begin by breaking your annual goals down into their monthly increments. In addition, write down the key activity goals that will lead to those monthly results. So let's do a quick example. Let's say my goal is to GCI 100 grand in a year. What's 100 grand divided by 12?
100 grand,
Yeah, 100 grand divided by 12. Smartphones are allowed.
8.5.
8,500.
I don't know. I guess $8,333.33.
Of course it is. I'm gonna call it 8,500. 8,500 a month. Okay. So sometimes what happens is when we set this goal up here and we say, yeah, I want to make 100 grand this year. Some people, they think, ooh, holy crap. That seems pretty huge. But then we say, wait a minute, what does that mean per month? Well, it means 8,500 per month. Okay, well that seems a little bit more doable. Because the average commission is what?
5,000, 6,000.
5 or 6 grand, right? So if I know that if I make 8,500 a month, that'll put me in line to GCI 100 a year, and I know your average commission is about $5,000 or $6,000. What does that mean right off the bat? I need to shoot for each month.
2 houses.
Two deals. Two deals a month. Is that doable? Absolutely. Let me phrase it to you another way. Every 14 days, you just need to find one piece of business. Once every 14 days, you just need to find one person to work with. I don't care what their timeline is. Just find a piece of business every 14 days at a minimum. Is that doable? How many pieces of business do you think you could realistically find in a 14-day period? You don't have to answer that question because it's a lot, right? But all of a sudden, for some people who've never made anywhere near this amount of money, or have never stretched their thinking to think that big, you boil it down and say, actually, to do that, you just need to find a client every 2 weeks. Because just in our quick figuring, if we said that the average commission is 5,000 or 6,000, we've actually built in a lot of wiggle room here, haven't we? Because if you close 2 deals a month, you're actually going to be well over the 8,500, right? Which means you're going to be well over your overall goal, which means you actually could probably net 100 grand, net 100 grand, if you focus on doing 2 a month, or 1 every 14 days. Right? That's how we go from setting a goal that at the beginning of the year seems like a kind of a big, audacious goal. Yeah, that's what I want to shoot for. Great. What does that mean? That means I need to be closing about $8,500 a month in GCI. Great. How are you going to do that? That means I got to do roughly 2 deals a month outstanding. How are you going to do that? Right. This is where I'm going to stop the conversation today in the exercise. This is where we usually stop it. But there's a lot more that needs to happen after here. Great. What are you going to do every 14 days to find a piece of business? Full opens. Great. How many? When? Make my calls. Great. From what times? Each day. How many contacts? How many appointments? How many contracts signed? Right? These aren't scary questions designed to put people on the spot. They're questions, and it's a system and a process designed to help you hit your goal. That's really what's behind it, right? When deciding your monthly goals, remember to put things first. Any goals that other goals hinge on would have a higher priority. You should have no more than 5 to 7 monthly goals. Do not plan any more than 1 month ahead. I'll leave that up to your discretion. I'm not going to tell you how many goals you can or can't have. Just know the more that you try to put on your plate, the more you're trying to divide your focus amongst a few different things. Weekly goals. Set aside a half hour to an hour each week to form goals for the coming week. Weekly goals are levers, actions, or activities. Levers are the goals that are the mechanisms or the how-tos of achievement. For example, I will contact 10 people each day. These weekly goals are the steps you will take toward your monthly and annual goals. Levers are the means to an end. Again, your weekly goals are not a to-do list, but rather a have-to-do list, a must-do list, a needs-to-be-accomplished list. decide what you need to do that week to achieve your monthly goals. Again, remembering to put the things that have most priority first. Limit your number of weekly goals to 6 or 8 key, measurable activities. And then on that website, you can find where you can find a tip like 40411. So here's the deal. If somebody sets a goal, number one, they're already ahead of the curve. Okay. Number two, if somebody sets a goal, usually they set an annual goal. And it stops there, right? If they're getting really precise, they might break it down to, okay, if I want to hit my overall goal each year, this is what I have to do month by month, which is not a bad place to start or a bad place to be. But the most important goals or the most important activities to monitor are your weekly ones. Why?
Because that's what's gonna ensure you get it done.
Yes, because the weeks make your month and the months make your year. And your goals will be won and lost in the activities you do each week. And the beauty about monitoring the progress you make each week is it allows you to know, am I on track or am I off track? I mentioned Rockefeller earlier and how we're going to be having we could talk about him during our ALC meeting today. Rockefeller, does anybody know by what trade Rockefeller really was when he first got in business? What he did? Yep, he was an industrialist. And but his first job or his focus or his passion was what? Anybody know? Accounting, bookkeeping. And he was famous for telling people there are a lot of business owners out there. Their books are so sloppily kept, they don't even have any idea whether or not they're making money. They really don't. Because they're not breaking things down and looking at the details on a daily or weekly basis, right? So going over your activities weekly at a minimum and seeing how they're aligning with the overall goal will determine whether or not you achieve your overarching goal for the year, right? That makes sense. But the added portion to that is it allows you to see or implement change if it's needed sooner rather than later. Because some people, if they're doing a pretty good job, they'll set a goal for a year. And when do you think, if some people do happen to revisit their goal throughout a year, when do you think that usually is? Yeah,
September.
Toward the end of the year, or if they're doing really good, maybe halfway through. Well, if you're just checking on your goal halfway through the year and you find that you're a little off, do you think you've left yourself a reasonable amount of time to correct? No. Or especially if it's September, October. You've done yourself a disservice by not seeing where you are in terms of your goal sooner rather than later. So something you need to check regularly. Hence the weekly goals and the weekly activities. Because if I find that I'm off kilter, great, I can make some changes. If I find that I'm exceeding or I'm doing better than I need to, great, I can allow that to impact my schedule too. Maybe I can free up some time to do some other things, right? Page 17. Your turn. Now that you can see the benefits of the 411 for accountability, it's time to create your own. Complete a 411 action worksheet on the next page. Remember your weekly goals relevant to your monthly goals. So here's what I'd like to do. On page 18, there's an example of a 411. You can see at the top it says annual goal, monthly goals, weekly goals. We take like just 2 minutes. You guys don't have to get crazy in depth. But I want you to look at the sheet. I want you to maybe come up with a goal and kind of work through the process of breaking it down into monthly and weekly goals. So that if you have questions or you're not quite sure how it's supposed to work, you can ask me while we're here together. So take 2 minutes and kind of look at the sheet, maybe pick a goal to work through, and then we'll pick it back up in just a couple minutes and revisit about any questions you might have. Sound good? We'll pick it up right around 10:15. I'm gonna grab some water real fast. Brad already broke his goals down. He went out to make it happen. Couldn't wait. Debbie, have you been to Alaska or?
Yeah, I was in Alaska last summer,
Oh, very cool.
or not last summer, the summer before,
It's on my bucket list.
2016.
It's on my bucket
Yes.
list. I need to make it one of my annual goals to get out there. It looks so gorgeous.
They say not to do it too young as a guy.
Not to do too young as a guy.
Why?
It's too good.
Yeah, I
just
think
wanna
a
go
lot
back
of
all the
people
time.
move there?
and
Yeah.
they stay.
You just want
It's
to go back all the
amazing,
time.
it's so beautiful.
You know where I want to go to Banff in Canada. I've seen pictures. I've heard nothing but like
Amazing.
I love Mother Nature, man. It just
I've been there.
have you?
It's everything.
Is it
there.
really? It's not that far. Like I get a lot of energy from just being out in Mother Nature. It's calm. It's just very peaceful, and that place looks gorgeous.
It's so
gorgeous.
small,
Is it really?
but it's so picturesque.
Yeah.
Just,
That in Alaska. To my bucket list things.
it's a romantic place, that Banff, so you should go.
So let's
just
go
with
by
your wife.
myself.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Let grandma and grandpa take care.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there we go. That's why I said do your goals together. All right. So, anybody have anything to share from that? Any questions about the 411? Do you find it somewhat useful? I know it seems goofy, but yes.
Stephen Covey
Mm-hmm.
talked a little bit about begin with the end in mind.
Absolutely.
Everything you're doing, and this is what he's emphasizing.
Yes.
Breaking those big goals, the tiny little goals, the daily goals,
Mhm.
the weekly goals, which inform the monthly goals, which
Absolutely.
inform the yearly goals.
Absolutely.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, and it's really it's a milestone, or allows you to map out truly your path to success or hitting your goal. Because there've been plenty of goals. Like if I said right now, my goal is to run a marathon in X amount of time, I would know where to begin. I would have to go do some research, break things down, and realize, okay, over the course of the next 1 to 2 years, this is what I need to be doing every day, each week, to be able to work up to that. Right? It's the same principle when it comes to your business goals or other goals in general. I feel like when it comes to our physical goals, we kind of get that and we break it down a little bit more than we do with our business goals, but it's the same principle, right? Because if I said I want to lose 20 pounds this year, most of you would say, okay, well that means X amount per month, which means you need to be doing this, right? But if we say I want to do X amount of income, we just leave it at that. But what does that really mean? What do you need to be doing on a consistent basis to hit that, right? And the beauty of the 411 is two things, in my humble opinion. Number one, I think it breaks it down to its simplest form. It makes it easier to envision yourself achieving it. And number two, it allows you to monitor the progress you're making and make changes in a timely manner if they need to be made. Right? That's the second piece of it, which doesn't necessarily sometimes connect with people. Because if you have your 411, let's say it's the first week of February, and your goal each week is to sign, if your goal is that you have to sign at least one buyer rep contract with somebody per week in order to hit your annual goal, and you failed to do one last week, what does that mean your goal is for this week? Two. It's not one. what you're doing is you're changing. Your goal is a living, breathing thing, right? And if you're not doing the things that you need to align to hit your goal, you need to change it, right? Okay, well, if I didn't hit 1 last week, that means this week it's 2. So what am I doing this week to hit the 2 to stay in line with my goal, right? Or it's this. It's week 1 of February. I know I want to be gone on vacation week 4, so I'm not going to be working. So what does that mean between weeks 1, 2, and 3? You gotta take that contract you would normally get signed in week 4 and get it signed in week 1, 2, or 3. So one of those weeks you got to do 2 instead of 1 to keep you in line with your goal. Right? Do some forward planning to stay in line, because most people, okay, they don't even think about it. No, hold yourself accountable. It's so tough to do in our business because I'm just saying, oh well, it's no big deal if I don't make it that week. Who's going to yell at me? It's you. It's your goal. I'm not going to yell at you. I don't. You know what I mean? So that's why it's a little bit tougher for us that are self-employed, because in other corporate America jobs, like Ethan, sometimes your goals are set by who?
Every single other person
Yeah.
besides you.
Who's living in fantasy land by the time you look at what the goals are for. You're like, okay, buddy. But in corporate America or other places, your goals are set for you. And if you don't hit your goals, what happens? You're fired. Or you don't get that pay raise, or you get a pay reduction, or you don't get a promotion. Do you think that motivates people? Sometimes yes and no. It would not motivate me, right? So obviously it does, right? It motivates people, right? But in our line of work, when you control that thing, when you control those things, sometimes it doesn't work as a motivator, right? You have to be super self-motivated, or bring people into the fold that are going to help you stay motivated into those goals. Which is why I always think about it in terms of wealth, right? Because if I hit that number, it's not just about hitting that number, because I have a whole plan with what I'm going to do with that stuff, right? Because if I hit that number, it allows me to buy 2 investment properties in 2018, which makes 2018 a win, because I've got 2 investment properties. I'm going to do 2 the next year, then 2 the next year. I'm generating passive income. You know, it all feeds a bigger goal and a bigger, higher purpose, right? And for me, that is how can I help? Because people, we talk about wealth, we talk about income, and it becomes kind of a weird topic. Like, oh man, you know, I don't want to be greedy. I don't need to make a whole lot of money. Yeah, I want to be charitable. Yeah, absolutely. Rockefeller, by far the wealthiest person in history. You know who else he happened to be in history? The most philanthropic. I'm not even going to try to use that word. He gave the most money to charity as well. Money is good for the good that it can do, right? And I want my family to have a great sense of security. So yeah, I want to generate wealth. I want to do good with it. But if I don't know what my goal is or what goals I need to be hitting in order to do things I want to generate that wealth or that passive income, then I don't even know what the game plan is. But, okay, that's enough on that. Let's look at page 21. Evaluate wins and opportunities. Self-reflect on your actions. So I'm not going to have you guys do this in class. I would like you to spend some time on page 21. Write down the answers to these questions. Wins you've experienced over the last 4 weeks, opportunities for improvement, what kinds of leads are you getting, how would you rate your performance, what will you do differently going forward, and then share and celebrate your success. One thing I wish I was a little bit better at that I've kind of done hit or miss in the past is journaling. Journaling can be a very, very, very good thing. It can also keep you in line with your goals. And it's usually during bowl I start journaling again, then after bowl it takes off. But here's what I would love you to do. I would love you to spend some time on page 21 and then email me your thoughts. You don't have to email me an answer to every single question. You don't have to email me anything at all if you don't want to. But I would be curious to hear, after going through page 21, answering those questions, what your takeaway is. And my email is zach, Z-A-C-H, @kw.com. I would just love to get some of that self-reflection that you got out of the course. That goes for you guys just watching as well. Page 22, and then I'm going to look to wrap things up a little bit early here, just so I have a little bit of time to get situated for the meeting at 11. Know your numbers. I can't emphasize this enough. Know your numbers.
With the cumulative 4 weeks of tracking your activity and results, you have an accurate trail of your critical business numbers that can calculate important conversion rates. In this session, you'll learn the value of paying attention to your numbers. So Ignite went on for how long? 4 weeks. Yeah, 4 weeks. A little more because unplanned. I didn't plan to move Friday to Tuesday, so stretched on a little bit beyond 4 weeks. But you've got 4 weeks of, if you've been doing the daily 10-4, if you've been probably a little bit more active than you have in the past, a bit more purposeful, a little bit more focused, I want you to critically think, what has happened in my business over the last 4 weeks? Positives and negatives. And what can I do to sustain that or continue to play off of that? And get a sense for the results that the activities you've done over the last 4 weeks have been. Okay, I know if I do these things like I did for the last 4 weeks, what results did I get? If I want to sustain those results or do even more, what things have to change or what can I do differently to make it happen? Building a bigger business means more opportunities for you and more opportunities for your family. That gets back to the conversation that I just had a little bit about generating wealth, right? More opportunities for you and more opportunities for your family. Calculate your conversion ratios. So if you look at page 23, if you've been tracking your connections and your appointments, then you can look at what your conversion ratio is. How many contacts do I need to make to lead to an appointment? Then you would take it a step further. How many appointments do I need to have in order to convert someone to a client or a signed contract, right? This is probably in my personal real estate business. I'll speak just to me on this one. By the time I stepped out of our real estate team to come take on the Rochester office, I tracked everything very, very well. Conversion was probably the one thing that still wasn't being tracked at a high level. Meaning how many contacts to an appointment, how many appointments to a signed contract, right? Since Carly has taken on the team, she and Kelly, they have it all tracked. They had it all built out, even the conversion ratios. One of the reasons I kind of poo-pooed it a little bit is because I knew that I didn't poo-poo it. I think it's important. I just didn't give it priorities because we're a very repeat and referral-based business. So what do you think my conversion ratios are? Pretty good. They're pretty good, right? Chances are for a meeting, we're going to do business, right? So we never paid attention to it as much. But now we've got into tracking it more. And now if I want to get really dangerous, I'm tracking what's my conversion ratio for somebody that's not a referral, right? How am I doing? I don't want to skew my conversion ratios by factoring those people in with the gimmies, right? If I'm truly on a standalone piece of business, somebody that does not know me, I don't know them, what is my kill rate? My kill ratio? What's my conversion rate? Right? How well am I doing in those situations, right? Because I guarantee it's nowhere near as good as it is with referral. So the question is, what can I do to get that percentage closer to that percentage? Because if I can increase that, if I can increase the conversion ratios of people that I don't know and make it in line with the people that I already do know, imagine how powerful a business will be in that situation, right? If I'm only converting roughly half, well, what if I started converting 75%? Huge impact to bottom line overnight. What are the key things I need to do that? Are we losing it on the appointment? Are we losing it on the follow-up? What are the reasons we're not getting? Do we go back and make the call and say, hey, what is it that we could have done differently to win your business? Or why did you choose to hire somebody else and not us? Basically, in a nutshell, how do we need to change our game? How do we need to improve? What do I need to do to be more lethal on those appointments? If we're losing it to you. There's a guy not long ago, a lender put us in touch with the guy who was looking to sell his townhome. Carly went out and met with him, followed up afterward, and he said, hey, I appreciate it. You guys are great, but my dad knows a guy, and he's going to give us a break on commission, so we're going to go that route. Okay, cool, man. If it doesn't work out, let us know. But now I know why we didn't convert that business, and I probably learned another question to ask, either before or during an appointment, right? Are there any other agents that you're considering? Something that maybe we've taken for granted, like, oh, we've got this one. It was referred to us by a lender, right? So take a peek at your conversion rates. Use your performance throughout Ignite to kind of go through and take a look at it. It could be a very powerful piece of information about your business. Page 25 talks about the other things that you can track that I kind of mentioned: appointments to signed agreements to contracts, and then contracts to closing. If you're doing things right, you know, if somebody signs to list a home with you, or have an appointment with you, typically that's going to lead to business. Same with the buyer counsel. If someone's actually signing a buyer contract with you or listing contract with you, if you're running your business the way that we kind of teach you, that should almost be a near 100%, right? Unless someone's life circumstances change and they can no longer buy or they no longer want to sell, that should almost be near 100%. You come in for a consult, you sign to work with me, blah, blah, blah. Barring you not being able to get pre-approved or maybe something changes, you're probably going to buy a house, right? If you sign a listing contract, well, we're taught to price it right, so it's going to sell. And barring them deciding not to sell for whatever reason, it's likely going to be a contract or a closing, right? So that will be a direct impact to your ratios as well. That's why getting those agreements signed is crucial. Once you have an agreement signed, that's a pretty good indication that that's future income or future closed business, right? 26 and 27, commit to your action. Yep, it talks about the things that you should be focused on. Page 29, a couple of different scripts you can utilize, same on the 30 and 31. So with that, I'm going to wind it down and open it up to questions really quick, or feedbacks or thoughts or ahas. Anything at all?
That was an awesome class.
Well, you're too kind. I appreciate it.
It's really good.
Here's the biggest takeaway from Ignite is this. We're going to start another course. I think it's might even start this Friday. Yeah. And it's basically Ignite kicked up a level. The purpose of the next class is to get to 36 transactions within 12 months. That's how serious we're taking. The Ignite, the few takeaways is, number one, you've got to be focused on that lead generation and daily. And I know that sounds weird, but remember, lead generation is just calling and talking with people, staying in touch with people, right? Focus on the lead generation. Utilize the scripts for referrals and for setting appointments. The people that you know in your database, in your spirit, you should not walk away from them, especially if they ask you the question, how's the market, without saying, oh, by the way, since you brought it up, Debbie, if you come across people that are looking to buy or sell, or that need some help, please put them in touch with me. I promise to take great care of them. It's too easy to do. If somebody calls or asks you a question, you're at open house, whatever, ask them, awesome, what is it that you're looking for? What's your timeline? Here's what I'd like to do. I'd love to have you come into the office. We can do a free, no obligation consultation, help you formulate a game plan that will allow you to be successful. Would that be helpful for you? That'll increase your appointments. And then on the consultation, introduce the contract and have them sign it with you. If that's something you need more coaching or help with, let me know, so I can get you to that point. And you will be surprised how many people will not have an issue with signing on to work with you if you approach the consultation the way that you should. And last but not least, hold yourself accountable to that. You hold yourself accountable by time blocking and having goals that you're constantly checking your progress on through the daily 411, which you just talked about. Success is simple. It's not easy. There's no secret to succeeding in real estate. You've got all the answers in front of you. For the most part, you know what you need to do or have a general idea of it. The only question is, will you put it into motion? Will you do it? And oh, by the way, you've got plenty of people here that are willing to help you do it as well. Reach out anytime you need to. All right? So with that, with no further ado, thanks very much, guys. I appreciate it. And we'll have a team meeting in here at 11 o'clock.
Thank you, Zach.
Yep.